In the Mewar Shah Graveyard, one of the oldest cemeteries in Karachi, there is a small compound unknown to most residents of the city. It has 300 Jewish graves. Mehratan, a woman in her 70s who sells rose petals at the gate of the Muslim graveyard, belongs to a Baloch family that has looked after the compound most of her adult life. The Jews used this compound for funerals and last rites, she said, pointing to the cemetery locally known as Bani Israel Gravegard. Then she turned back. This side was Muslim. In the beginning, they were friendly with each other. Her father-in-law was an employee at the Magan Shalom synagogue in the Rancho Lane locality, locally known as the Bani Israel Mist. Mewar Shah was a florist at that time, she said. Then her husband took a job at the same synagogue. His job was to give out meat and sweets on a bicycle, to the Baloch and to other communities in the neighborhood. By 1947, the number of Jews in Karachi had increased to about 1,500. This is not the only Jewish graveyard in the city. Another one is situated in the Noke Lane area of Liari, inside a Muslim graveyard near Chil Chowk, run by the Karachi Memo Markazi Jamaat, a welfare organization belonging to the Karachi community. It has been separated from the main cemetery with a boundary wall. The 85-year-old caretaker of the Jewish graveyard is known as Baba Baloch, although his real name is Mullah Qudadad. He says his cemetery is 220 years old, much older than the Jewish cemetery in the Mewar Shah graveyard. His great-great-grandfather had served as the caretaker of the cemetery, which originally consisted of about 10 acres of land. But in the 1920s, a local Karachi businessman, Haji Bachal alias Lata, purchased the land from the British government and gifted it to his community. Baba Baloch said. The Jews of the city had filed a case against the deal in a Bombay court. The case ran on for several years, but they could not get the land back. Ties between Muslims and Jews in the local neighborhoods were very good, says Barbu. The Jews were mainly businessmen and administrators, and helped local Muslim communities, mainly Baloch and Kutchis, he said. The 2.5-acre cemetery that belongs to the Jewish community finds itself enclosed by a deteriorated wall towering between 8 to 10 feet. Among the weathered tombstones, the cemetery boasts around 250 graves crafted from intricate white marble. These graves bear thoughtful messages, prayers, profiles, and dates inscribed in both Hebrew and English. If you take a careful look at the tombstones, you will notice names like Eliezer Jacob Horapka and Jacob Solomon Kamarleka. On various commemoration stones, one can clearly observe Marathi surnames distinguished by the unique addition of the Ka suffix. These family names provide insight into the ancestral background of the Marlaba Jews or Cochin Jews. These people were the progeny of Sephardic Jews who settled along the Marlaba coast within the former Bombay Presidency, Indian state of Maharashtra. The gravestones in the Noke Lane cemetery are large and Chakundi styled and have inscriptions in Hebrew. The oldest grave whose date I could read was from 1836. The gravestones in the Mewar Shah cemetery were made of white marble. These crumbling stones can tell us a lot about our history, says Mehratan's son, who has grown up in the Jewish graveyard. We are protecting this past by ourselves, without the government's help. There were 650 Jews living in Karachi in 1919, likely in Rancho Lane, Lines area and the Ramswamy locality. Most of them were Bani Israel Jews from Maharashtra, India. Some of them may be from Iraq. Thousands of Jews left their homeland after the siege of Jerusalem by Roman Emperor Titus in 70 AD. Many went to Iran and Iraq. Some experts say Iraqi Jews came to Karachi during the British rule. By 1947, the number of Jews in Karachi had increased to about 1,500. But many of them left shortly before the creation of Israel in 1948, and most had moved to Israel, India, and Canada. Yonah Rothman, a teacher at the Yeshuat Simchat Shlomo in Jerusalem, says it is likely that some Baghdadi Jews ended up in India in the 1800s, because of business. After Bombay, Karachi was second best option for the Jewish businessmen in the subcontinent, he said. In Karachi, they played a key role in the development of the city and no one can erase this page of history. Gul Hassan Kulmati, a veteran researcher who recently wrote a book on the history of Karachi, Sindh Morawi, said Jewish architects, engineers and educationists had a major contribution in the city's history. Solomon David and Omer Dakir built the Magan Shalom synagogue in the Rancho Lane area in 1893. It was razed in 1988 and was replaced by a shopping plaza. Abraham Rubin was elected as a member of the Karachi Municipal Corporation in 1919 and served until 1939, Kulmati said. Moses Somak, an architect, made a number of buildings in the city between 1890 and 1910, including the Flagstaff House, now known as the Quaid-e-Azam House. A number of Jewish people had married Muslims and Parsis, said Usman Baloch, a political leader in Liari. He said the 2 Jewish cemeteries should be declared protected sites. They could be encroached on by land grabbers, he said, or extremists could harm the heritage sites because of anti-Israel sentiments. A mysterious woman is trying to restore the largest Jewish cemetery, the Bani Israel Cemetery, near Mewasha in Karachi, which has been in shambles due to decades of neglect. Located in the old city area of Karachi, the Jewish cemetery has deteriorated to become a ruin. This woman, currently in the US, has hired men to bring it back to its original state. She has said that she will restore it to its original position and bear all its expenses. She disclosed her plans to hire people to maintain the place once the work is finished.